everybody. My name's Ashley Mulcair. I'm part of the Sanctuary Band here, and I'd just like to welcome you to worship. And so we're going to start with a couple songs, and I just want to give the little spiel, which is that this is for you, and that whatever you want to do with your body and whatever feels good to your body is what you should do. So if you want to stand and sing, if you want to sit and listen, if you want to close your eyes, if you want to look around, those are all great options. And we're on microphones here, but that doesn't mean that you should not sing. We would like to sing with you. So please do lift your voice in song. And I think that's all the things. Did I say all the things?
That's all the things.
That's all the things. Okay, let's sing, guys. We're going to start with We Would Be One, which you might know if you sing on Sunday mornings. Maybe.
Might.
You might.
You might.
You might not.
While they're switching mics, I'll introduce who's up here. I'm Joe. This is Ashley, Matt, Soren, Callie, and Lucas is coming on up. And I believe Callie's going to teach us this next one.
Yeah, hi everybody, I'm Callie. We're gonna do a song that's called The Truth. And here are the words to it. I will believe the truth about myself, no matter how beautiful it is. That's it, now you know all the words. So we'll sing it a zillion times, and you'll pick up on how it goes pretty fast. I will believe the truth about myself, no matter how beautiful it is. I will believe the truth about myself, no matter how beautiful it is. I will believe
What a beautiful way to start off worship. Today's chalice lighting is How the Worst Day of My Life Became the Best by Andrea Gibson.
When you are trapped in a nightmare, your motivation to awaken will be so much greater than that of someone caught up in a relatively dream by Eckhart Tolle.
When I realized the storm was inevitable, I made it my medicine. Took 2 snowflakes on the tongue in the morning, 2 snowflakes on the tongue by noon. There was no side effects, only sound effects. Reverb attached to my lifespan, an echo that asked, what part of your life's record is skipping? What wound is on repeat? Have you done everything you can to break out of that groove?
By nighttime, I was intimate with the difference between tying my laces and tuning the string section of my shoes, made a symphony of walking away from everything that I did not want with my life. Felt a love for myself so consistent, metronomes tried to copyright my heartbeat. Finally understood I am the conductor of my own life and will be even after I die. I, like the trees, will decide what I become. Porch swing, church pew, an envelope that must be licked to be closed.
Kinky choice, but I didn't close. I opened and opened.
Until I could imagine the pain was the sensation of my spirit not breaking.
That my mind was a parachute that could always open in time.
That I could wear my heart on my sleeve and never grow out of that shirt.
That every falling leaf is a tiny kite with a string too small to see.
Held by the part of me in charge of making beauty out of grief.
Well, welcome all to Sanctuary Boston, a community of vibrant worship and connection, grounded in Unitarian Universalism and open to seekers of all kinds, a community where we believe that you are already whole and already holy and loved right through. In some religions, in some communities, they'll tell you that to be holy, you need to do the right thing or you need to believe the right thing, but this is not a community where we've got a list of beliefs for you. This is a place where we recognize that how we live together, how we make the world a better place, and how we take care of each other is more important than the ideas we have about any God or not, or what might happen in the next life or not. And so we invite you to come and share this space to make this space sacred together this evening. I'd love to invite Joanna, our worship arts lead, just as she was sitting down, to come lead our words of welcome that recognize this place is made holy by your presence.
Thanks, Matt. So in this space, we welcome one another with these words each time we gather. You're invited to choose words that resonate with you and speak those ones aloud, or a typeface that feels extra right for you this evening and speak that aloud. And we'll join together in the last phrase. Whether you go to church on Sunday mornings or light candles on Friday nights, whether you've been hurt by religion, saved by it, or some of both, whether you're brand new to spiritual community or a seasoned seeker, whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey together, we welcome you. That last "we welcome you" always makes me think of "we welcome you to Munchkin Land." I don't know why. So 10 years of that, it's hard to hold in. So with that, invite us to, with joy and openness, greet one another. Say hi to somebody you haven't met yet. Say hi to an old friend. Remember to greet the cameras. The one with the red dot on it is the one that's broadcasting to Zoom. So great to see you all out there. So let's take a few moments and say hi to one another. If you're joining us online, say hello in the chat.
Well, we invite you to continue these conversations. Those of you online, we'll invite you to stick around afterwards, after worship, to check in together and chat more. And those of you here, we invite you to stick around and chat as well. I'd like to invite your attention back for the final part of our probably many-part series on our history stories of Sanctuary Boston. We are finishing up our 10th year of Sanctuary Boston. Yes! We're getting ready to start the next 10 years, even more exciting. But as we've been celebrating this anniversary in a lot of ways, we've been taking this time to reflect and look back on some of the turning points in this community. And so to share this history sanctuary moment, Heather's going to talk about our new Kiddos and Caregivers program that she started last year.
It's very generous, Matt. So one of the things that I love most about my experience of Sanctuary is that I get to share a worship community with my family. And when I say family, I mean a lot of people. My sister Amy and I have been attending here together since the early days. Our mom joins us online most weeks. Many members of my housemate family are also here, including Matt and Rebecca and the newly minted but sick today, 6-year-old Micah. His birthday was on Saturday. And though I'm not a parent myself, Sanctuary has always been a place for me to connect with some very special kids in my life. Ever since Micah was a baby, he and I would come to Sanctuary together, sometimes just the two of us, sometimes with his mom, Rebecca. We would meet up with Moira, who I've known since birth, and it was in this very room right where Laura was sitting when I first met 5-day-old Mara, my niece, having Amy and her husband Otto having gotten a call from a social worker the night before. So for a very long time, Sanctuary has been a place for me to get to share this faith that I love with kids that I love. And since the early days of this community, there have always been 1 or 2 kids attending worship with us. But at the beginning of last year, we were coming back in person from the pandemic, and we realized that as the young adults who this community was oriented around in the early days grew older, many of us started having kids. Many of us also started inviting our parents. And the community has grown to be truly multi-generational. So the fall before last, as we came back from a year of being on Zoom, we realized that there was enough of a cohort of families with young kids to coordinate something. So we started having a meetup for families to connect before worship, building community through the fun of local playgrounds and the ritual of pizza. And as these gatherings gained momentum, last spring the Sanctuary Board committed to supporting and growing this program through hiring our fabulous and talented family worship coordinator, Jen Shattuck. And here's the thing. More kids in worship means more wiggly bodies, more persistent, not so quietly whispered demands for snacks, more ups and downs for bathroom trips, and I've sometimes wondered where the balance is, how much noise is too much noise, when the wiggles cross the line into rambunctiousness. But I'm also reminded over and over again that worshiping with kids and living with these questions is part of what I love about this spiritual community. As many of you know, I am a minister and I serve in a local congregation, and some months ago, my colleague and I got a 3-page letter from some members of our congregation about things that they wished, some understandably, things that they wished were different in our worship services. And one of the things that they requested was that there be less clapping in worship. The container gets smashed, they said. And in some ways, I get it. There's lots of ways to worship, and for some people, they are really drawn to a quiet and contemplative space. That's where they feel the most reverence. But I was struck later that same week when here in this room, I was pulled out of my seat by Leo, my nibbling, and brought over to dance to a raucous closing song by the Sanctuary Band. And as I danced with my nibblings and my 6-year-old housemate and our friends, young and old, I felt this heart-bursting joy. I felt so present in the moment. I felt connected to something larger than myself. And I thought, This is worship for me. So here at Sanctuary, I'm reminded that worship comes in so many forms, and that we can experience joy and wonder and reverence and connection at any age. And here we affirm that at every age and stage of our lives, no matter how we worship, we are each made holy and loved right through. And that when we create communities and spaces for that, for all of the ages and all of the people, we should celebrate by dancing.
Thank you, Heather. That was lovely. Let's smash some containers, everybody. So we're going to sing a song that's called Infinitely Whole, with some words drawn from a reflection by Brian Lennox and music by Sanctuary's own Alex Pham. There's 2 parts to this song. As soon as you pick it up, pick a part that you like, and you can keep going with it, or you can switch back and forth, do what feels good. Here's how the first part goes. We were all born infinitely whole. We were all born infinitely whole. We were all born infinitely whole. That's beautiful. Here's how the second part goes. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We were all born infinitely. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough, just exactly as we are. We are each of us enough. We are each of us complete. We are each of us enough,
You'll have to excuse me. I grew up Pentecostal, so I'm used to like getting up and I would be like, stay right there, and you start singing again. But. Hi, everyone. I'm Marche. I want to thank the Sanctuary Boston community for extending this invitation to me to speak. I am continuously humbled by invitations to share my thoughts with all of you. I also want to give a shout out to the friends and family here in person and the folks who are online. You all keep me going, and I mean that in the most literal sense. There are 4 things I want you to know about me as I start this time with you. That doesn't mean this will be inevitably long, but bear with me. Number 1, it's been more than 3 years since I've spoken to folks in person. Number 2, I have pretty severe anxiety and am often like jumping out of my skin, even though it doesn't seem that way. So for both of those reasons, it might take me a moment to settle in, and I trust that it will all be well, and even if my voice breaks, and even if I have to take a few breaths, we will get through it. Number 3, I hate spoilers. You may have guessed by me naming this reflection into the multiverse that I love TV and movies, and we'll be talking about them today. But I want to assure you, I will not drop a major plot reveal at any point. But I'm gonna sweeten the deal. If I spoil anything for you today, you have permission to DM me a spoiler of the 3rd Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because it comes out Friday, and I don't have time to see it for a few weeks. Which brings me to number 4. And the final thing I want you to know about me right now. I love Marvel movies. They are, in fact, my problematic faves. So if you're sitting there and you're like, 10 reasons why Marvel is like capitalist nightmare, I'm like, yes, but that's not what we're talking about today. Now, my love of Marvel movies is a fairly recent development, even though Disney has been releasing these movies since 2008. At the beginning of the pandemic, I had a lot more time at home than I was used to. I decided to fill that time by asking my wife, Melissa, to help me take on the brave task of watching every Marvel movie ever made. Back in 2020, that was 23 movies. And I watched all 23 movies based on the Marvel comics within a few months. Now, flash forward to 2023, Marvel is up to more than 30 plus superhero movies and related TV shows. There is a reason they've been able to crank out that many movies and shows since 2008. Superhero stories have a pretty predictable formula to them. The characters and settings change, but the overall story arcs don't. There is an origin story of how the everyday person becomes a hero. A villain who threatens the legitimacy of that origin story. A big battle that crystallizes the hero's legacy. The hero wins, but probably loses something along the way. And the world returns back to a place of equilibrium. The formulaic nature of Marvel movies was extremely comforting early in the pandemic. I needed to feel like complicated things could be reduced to a simple story. When I started watching Marvel movies in 2020, I needed something to be predictable. The world felt so topsy-turvy, I needed to know everything would work out okay. It somehow felt like if I knew that, that meant I would be okay too. But lately, I've been wondering if Marvel movies can keep holding my attention. I'm not so sure this formula is what I need anymore. I'm not sure I need the reassurance that I can predict what will happen as much as I need to know that I have what it takes to survive whatever comes. My interest in Marvel movies started to wane last summer. During that time, I was in my hometown helping care for a dear family member who was recovering after being very sick. I happened to be the family member whose work schedule allowed them to be most present in this stage of the family member's recovery. There were moments I felt particularly inadequate within my caregiving role. I was worried that I just wasn't the person she or my family needed. I'm often late. I think I was actually late here today. And when I'm anxious or stretched, I'm especially forgetful and I misplace things very easily. One night, I was alone and thinking about my not enoughness within my caregiving role, and I decided to watch a movie. I was all caught up on Marvel movies and was a little skeptical anyway about their newest plots involving parallel universes, cumulatively known as the Multiverse. So instead of rewatching a Marvel movie or show, I reluctantly started watching something else about alternate universes. The movie was called Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. You may have heard of it. In the film, Evelyn Wang, a Chinese immigrant, tries to keep her family's laundromat business afloat. As an IRS audit looms, her marriage faces a crossroads. She cares for her aging and judgmental father, and she grows farther apart from her daughter. Pretty early in the movie, Evelyn meets a different universe's version of her husband, Waymond, who is sure that she is the one Evelyn across many universes who is supposed to save the world. Evelyn doesn't believe him. This Evelyn knows she is no superhero. Her origin story doesn't function as the catalyst for attaining superhuman powers to use in distant lands. She is a woman with very human problems, whose very human abilities are nothing especially notable compared to others in her life, or even compared to Evelyn's across the multiverse. Evelyn's journey to greatness doesn't involve any special serum or expensive weapon. Her adventures in parallel universes don't take her very far from her origin story at all. Any interaction she has with another self always guides her back home. Back to self-reflection she's been avoiding, and back to what she needs to address with her family. Her journey is less about her attaining some otherworldly skills and abilities than it is about her changing the relationship to how she thinks about herself and how proactive she will be in changing that thinking. Her sometimes self-deprecating and sometimes narrow thinking have stopped her from noticing the degradation of her connections with possibility and with her loved ones. Now, when my wife heard me practice, she said, "Are you sure those aren't spoilers?" Trust me, there was a lot of plot missing there. So, last summer, when I was sitting on that couch doubting how I could show up for my family members, Evelyn's story was pretty good news. Yes, I was still, and I still am, an anxious, always late mess. But family members were pitching in to track things that I would likely forget. And although I wasn't the most punctual person, my sometimes lax relationship to time also made me comfortable being flexible when I needed to change plans quickly. This came in handy when I needed to unexpectedly show up for people who needed me. I could make quick adjustments and be there for those who needed me most, even if I was sometimes a little late. I was suddenly sure my life was exactly as it needed to be in order for me to show up for my family in that time. I changed my story and perspective. And suddenly, I was the right person in the right place at the right time. Evelyn's beliefs about herself change. She starts to honor the magic she couldn't notice because she had a simple story about herself and those around her. When she changed that story, she changed her multiverse. I get why the multiverse is having a moment right now. I get it. It's comforting to imagine a version of the world where our triumphs and victories exist absent of our heartaches. That there are timelines where all of us have figured out our struggles that we're having in the here and now. Maybe figuring it all out isn't as important as noticing what there is to be figured out. One of the filmmakers behind the movie, Daniel Kwan, said in an interview, and I'm paraphrasing just a little bit here, when you observe something for long enough, you can make anything meaningful. That's a desperate, dangerous thing, but it's also really beautiful. We need that right now because everyone is focused on everything and noticing no meaning at all. He went on to say, the multiverse is actually a really beautiful, important metaphor for right now because we need to be looking at all the possibilities, not just the ones that we think we're in. I'll probably keep watching Marvel's multiverse movies. That's not the moral of the story, because I'm 30 movies in at this point. Nothing if not dedicated and persistent. But I'm grateful heroes like Evelyn exist to remind me that I don't need to be an Avenger to traverse the multiverse. There are many versions of me that no longer exist, and many versions of me I've yet to meet. And each of those universes collide when I slow down enough to learn who I've been and who I have the potential to be. Everything, everywhere, all at once taught me that striving for a perfect version of myself is not the goal. Seeking the most present version of myself is.
Thank you, Marche. That's beautiful. We're going to sing a song now that's called, here's the name and all the words to the song. We are the ones we've been waiting for. The words to this song are the last line of a wonderful poem by June Jordan, who wrote them in celebration of the Women's March to hold against the expansion of apartheid in South Africa back in 1956. One of the favorite things about that story of change and heroism is that people weren't allowed to gather in very large groups, so they all made their way from the train stations or the bus stations to the protests by twos and threes. None of them ever sure if this is really going to happen, how many people were going to be there until they arrived at Parliament to find 20,000 other people there. There are 3 parts. We'll sing them through in order, and then you can pick your part. It goes like this. We are the ones, we've been waiting. Second part. We are the ones, we've been waiting. Third part. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Awesome. Now we'll do it. Pick a part that you feel comfortable with. Feel free to hop between them. 1, 2, 3. We are the ones, we've been waiting. 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 We are the ones, we've been waiting.
Please rise if you would like to.
We are the ones, we've been waiting. 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 We are
are the ones, we are the ones we've been waiting.
Last time
We are the ones, we are the ones we've been waiting.
Thank you, Sanctuary Band. And thank you, Marche. That was really beautiful. I feel grateful that I get to be in this universe, if I'm sure I'm in this universe, where I get to hear your words, and not in a universe where I have hot dogs for fingers. No spoilers, no spoilers. That's not in a movie any of you have seen. My name is Martha. No spoilers. You can DM me things about any movie that I love. My name is Martha. I use she and her pronouns, and I have the joy of being on the offering team here at Sanctuary. Tonight, we are very excited that we get to split our offering with an organization called DRUM. DRUM is the Diverse and Revolutionary UU Multicultural Ministries, an amazing ministry that many of our community members have found spiritual home in. DRUM is the oldest and largest UU people of color and ministry and anti-racist community in North America. It serves as a community home for many of folks in our world and has led the efforts in Unitarian Universalism to transform our faith into an anti-racist and multicultural ministry and home. We here at Sanctuary Boston are very excited to be a co-sponsor of a drum worship on May 11th. The worship is called Shine on Beautiful and Resilient People. There's been information about it in the newsletters and more information about it to come. We are very excited to share our plate tonight with Drum and to support the incredible work that they have done in our faith and in our world at large. For those of you who are online, you can use the links in the chat box or donate on Venmo or PayPal. You can also find us directly on Venmo at the Sanctuary Boston. If you have written a joy or a sorrow, we're going to come and collect those from you now. If you still want to write one of the ushers can give you a card to write your joy and your sorrow. We are very excited to be supporting Drum and to be moving in solidarity with them tonight. Tonight's offering will now be given and received. If this is your first time gathering with us, we invite you to let the basket pass you by. Your presence is a gift.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all we rest in this love.
We arrive together, thank you, bringing all the joys and sorrows of our complex lives with us this evening. Some of us arrive here wrestling difficult things, feeling the pain of a broken world around us and within us. Some of us arrive full of blessings, brimming with gratitude. From those of us here in person, Jay Lynn shares a mixture. Our kitchen got a leak last night and has thrown our household into upheaval as the whole thing needs to be renovated. However, I am so grateful to Renters Insurance for putting me in a hotel and all the friends and family that have come to help. From an anonymous person among us, we have a sorrow. They say, and I apologize, I'm doing my best to read handwriting here, for the loss of someone from this earthly realm before being able to make her acquaintance. From Elizabeth, Oscar, and Elena, we have a joy. Our daughter, Elena, was born on April 12th. And from another anonymous community member, we have a mixture. Concern about an upcoming religious service of welcome. Joy at playing with Sully the Black Lab here tonight.
Please join me in singing. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
We now invite those of you who are joining online to share any joys or sorrows you're carrying with you in the chat box. I will share them out loud here from the microphone. And if you'd like me to keep it anonymous, please send me a direct message. I am listed as Reverend Bran Lennox. From someone anonymous, we have a mixture. Taking the next big step on the journey to parenthood with joy and nerves. From another anonymous community member, my friend Jen just learned that she has lung disease without treatment and isn't sure how much longer she'll be around. Please send her love and support for her children as they are her greatest concern. From Karen, we hear, I was fortunate to attend Sanctuary Boston's spring retreat this past weekend. What a joy. Thank you to the planning team and everyone who had a role making this weekend a success. It was amazing. Kathy shares a huge joy that her congregation in West Roxbury, Massachusetts, unanimously called Reverend Heather as their next settled minister. I think that's a joy for Heather as well. From an anonymous sharer, my grandfather is in the process of dying this week. Kit says, a friend is struggling badly after a violating and dehumanizing encounter with the police and legal system. Please hold him and his spouse in your care, as well as the people who care for them. Another anonymous joy at returning back to work today after being on short-term disability leave for over a month with severe illness. Hannah shares with us a sorrow. A friend of mine has been diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer. Another friend's father's health is failing, and I am at a crossroads after hearing some news from an organization that I have been working with, and I don't know what to do. Regina shares relief that our new Afghani neighbor Sahil is doing well after today's unexpected appendectomy. And Laura shares, such a sweet man died this past weekend. I will plant red flowers in honor of the red fedora that he loved to wear. An anonymous joy for the community members Nibbling, whose birthday is tomorrow. They share, she is my favorite toddler whose light burns brightly. And we'll take the space of one more breath for any joys, sorrows, or other momentous feelings that might be present with us tonight. And we'll sing.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love.
won't you join me in prayer? Spirit that moves us to embody our passions in song, in dance, in sharing stories, in clapping our hands and stomping our feet, in letting tears fall and letting laughter ring out. Spirit that draws us together from the first breath of life all the way to when we take our place in the vastness of space among the stars. You show us reflections of ourselves in an infinite number of places, in glimpses of each other's lives, in the stories that we give and receive in so many different forms. Thank you for reminders that we need not be everything, everywhere, all at once, to everyone, in order to be perfect and whole exactly as we are. Thank you for reminding us how many different ways there are to be present to one another. In the face of all of our struggles, we ask you to call us back to noticing these infinite little realities in this one precious universe, which can center us, teach us, and comfort our hearts. Let all that we learn travel with us forward as we journey the future time until we are gathered here once more. May it be so, and amen.
Please join me in singing Sanctuary once through. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew.
We invite you now into the sanctuary ritual, a time for grounding ourselves here in this sacred space together, a time for taking in the words of Marche, taking in the songs we have sung together. We're going to sing Sanctuary one more time through, and then we'll invite you to hum it for a little while. And as we hum, we invite you to light the candles at any of the 3 tables in the middle or back of the room. As you light a candle, those of you here in the room, we invite you to remember that light that is within you, the divinity that is always burning bright inside you. And as you pass the taper to the next person, take a moment to connect with them and remember the divinity that is in between us as well, that shows up in our connections and our community. Those of you joining online, we invite you to take this time as a time of grounding and connection and reflection. We invite you to remember that divinity inside you and the connections that are between us, even far apart. Let's sing together once.
Make us aware we are sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary Make us aware we
through with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary anew.
I invite you to rise.
Make us aware we are sanctuary, each made holy, loved right through with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary anew. Make us aware we are sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary.
Friends, new and old, go forth and find the hero in you, and may our journeys toward our best selves and towards each other's love be our most exciting journeys yet.
There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. There are more fires burning, they will find their way to me. There are more fires burning, this I know, this I know. There are more fires burning, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know. There are more mountains falling, they will find their way to me. There are more mountains falling, this I know, this I know. There are more mountains falling, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know. I will wade through the waters when they find their way to me. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know. I will walk through the fires, this I know, this I know. I will walk through the fires, this I know. I will walk through the fires when they find their way to me. I will walk through the fires, this I know, this I know. I will walk through the fires, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know. I will rebuild the mountains when they find their way to me. I will rebuild the mountains, this I know, this I know. I will rebuild the
the mountains, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters, this I know. I will wade through the waters when they find their way to me. I will wade through the waters, this I know, this I know. I will wade through the waters.